So I think the one injury majority of my runners fear is that of a stress fracture. Hey everyone, this is Dr. Heather, your virtual sports chiropractor, and I've actually worked with 4 now different types of people with various different types of stress fractures and really helping them kind of get back from those injuries and get back to running or their activity in general. So what I want to kind of go over with you guys is what is a stress fracture and kind of what it is you could do to figure out how to best go about a treatment protocol. So a stress fracture is actually linked more to an overuse injury. So a lot of times we do see stress fractures in the shin, and they are linked a little bit more to a shin splint issue. But lately we've also seen some fractures, some stress fractures linked to the hips and to the pelvis. And I've actually worked with all of those. So now if you are somebody who just got diagnosed with a stress fracture, make sure you are working with a good PT. You do want to make sure that your PT fully understands your activity, meaning if you're a runner, they really understand running because you want to be able to get back to running. And if you're somebody who does weightlifting, if you're a cyclist, you do want to go to that, PT sports doc who really understands, again, those movement patterns. Now, we are going to look at this a little bit more with running. Now, if you do have a stress fracture, yes, that first step that you want to do is give it rest. Giving it rest is going to allow for the bone to really heal. And that's something that's really crucial and very important. You actually don't want to return to activity too fast, because if you do, you could actually make that stress fracture worse, or you could wind up creating another issue, meaning a secondary problem could set in, which now is going to put you back even a little bit further. So now, like I said, if you do have a stress fracture, make sure it first got diagnosed either through x-ray or an MRI, and you did see that proper physician for those studies. Second is, if you haven't gone ahead and aligned yourself with a good PT, somebody who truly understands your sport, your activity, make sure you do that today. Now, if you're unsure if you have those right people in place, feel free to drop some comments down below. I'm happy to kind of give you some guidance and see if I can't help find somebody in your area, especially if you want to work with somebody in person. Now guys, once you've done that rest period, the next step is to really look at flexibility and mobility. This is something I talk a lot about in all the videos on the channel, but it's crucially important when recovering from injury, because if you are recovering from injury and you jump right into the strength exercises, you may actually wind up again creating another problem down the road, because your body's going to have various different compensating patterns are going to set in. And you might be saying, well, what do you mean by that? Well, what I mean by that is, if we have an injury and then we go and try to do a specific type of activity, a lot of times our body is going to respond in a way, meaning that we're going to perform that movement so that we don't create pain, so we don't experience that feeling, that discomfort that we were initially having. So what may happen is that as you start doing the strengthening, you want to make sure that your biomechanics, everything is working appropriately, so this way you recover in a good time frame and you recover with success. And what I mean by that is your recovery in success is going to make sure that you get back to that activity in the correct time frame that you're looking at really doing this. Now, once you kind of go through the flexibility and the mobility, you've broken down that soft tissue, it really now starts to become about your muscle imbalances. Now, this is something key when dealing with stress fractures, because if you start really addressing your muscle imbalances, you're going to allow for the muscles themselves to really strengthen better. You're going to allow for the bone to strengthen better. You're going to notice that your body is going to respond in such a way that now everything is going to feel stronger, better, and there's going to be no pain, no discomfort. So like I said, when a stress fracture sets in, you do want to kind of take the proper rest protocol. You want to put it in place. You want to lay off that activity, allow for that bone to really heal. Once it's healed and you've gotten that confirmation based upon that, radiographic study that was done, and they say, okay, you can start to kind of go back to activity slowly, I highly recommend that you start kind of really breaking down the tissue, look at the flexibility, mobility component, and then put into the strength training plan the proper biomechanics, the muscle work that needs to get done, the balance training, all the steps that go into it. Now, like I said, this is kind of the treatment protocol that I go through with people who are suffering with stress fractures and were diagnosed and took that initial rest period and now are timid about getting back to activity, but they have aspirations of doing a half marathon, a full marathon still, but want to make sure that they do it safely. So if you have questions about your bone stress fracture and how to really kind of go ahead and return to activity without creating any further injuries or flare-ups, I would suggest dropping some comments down below, or as always, book a call with me. There's no charge, it's free, and there's no obligation at the end. I can just help give you some oversight and guidance. All right, so if you found some value in this short video on bone stress fractures, give it a like. And as always, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please go ahead and do so today. All right, everyone, this is Dr. Heather, your virtual sports chiropractor. I'll catch you in the next video.